developers saying are giving a really hard time with HTML5?
One of the challenges for development using HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript for apps has been the fact that up until a couple of years ago, the standards were really oriented towards websites and web browsers. There was kind of a cognitive breakthrough a couple of years ago where they said, you know, there's a difference between a web browser and a runtime that's part of a mobile platform or part of something like Windows 8 Modern, where you can have access to all those things because you're not also in that same piece of software going to be having history and cookies. And so once the W3C realized that that distinction was important, they established a system application working group, brought together people from companies like Intel and from the Mozilla project, you know, because you've got sort of Tizen, you've got Firefox OS, both of which are focused on these kinds of applications for devices. And that's where these APIs are being worked on. And that's why you see now a potential really acceleration of application development. And then you have PhoneGap and the Cordova project, which is essentially bringing those kinds of APIs to the installed base of Android and iOS and, you know, BlackBerry and so on.
Brian, do you think that some of the, you know, because of this cognitive break, as you put it, do you think that some of those features will eventually trickle into a standard browser in some form, or do you think that?
Have, or many have. So device APIs have worked their way into the browser pretty consistently and are getting good traction. We see camera access through the media capture API today, which allows you to declaratively invoke a camera application, which means a user clicks something and says, yes, I want you to use my camera. So there's a permission mechanism there or an opt-in. We see device orientation, device motion, so we can get access to that. We full screen lock API, WebRTC is just around the corner, which means we get full duplex binary communication, which is video conferencing or whatever. So the APIs aren't such a big deal, but the permissioning model that Mike was talking about is definitely a problem. I view PhoneGap as kind of like legacy software nowadays. And this is just like thinking 10 years into the future, but we look at, you know, Google Chrome OS, WinJS from Microsoft, Firefox OS from Mozilla, Tizen from Samsung and Intel. That's the future. That's what we're looking at, packaged web applications for sure.
I think the key is that if you are using web technologies to build apps, you have the opportunity to have those apps run on multiple platforms with less work, which should give you time to add value either by doing new cool features in web technologies or perhaps some cool extension to the platform using native code that you incorporate using something like Cordova or PhoneGap that makes your app stand out and do things that, you know, your competition's apps can't do.